Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is America is being disarmed. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see the hand of God destroying our nation. I mean, so many people come over our southern border. I have to tell you, I mean, life in America, as we have known, as we've grown up with, is in the final days. And when I show you some of the things I've got here today, it's disheartening. And in this case, it's scary to think that evil people in high places in our nation have intentionally and on purpose not just sent plane loads, I should say train loads of money to our enemies, but in this case, they've actually taken our weapons that in a future war we would use to defend ourselves and given them over to the people to be destroyed so that we will be defenseless. I'll show you what I'm talking about. U.S. confirms M1A1 Abrams tanks now have arrived in Ukraine. Okay, now, what does that mean? Do you think Ukrainians know how to run such a sophisticated machine? No. Okay, so then why are they sending them over there? The answer is to be destroyed. With the video I'm going to show you at the end of the program today, you're going to see that the Russians, and they're not using their most advanced weapons, all of this was probably planned years ago, according to Vicky Parnell. What they're doing is sending them over there for the Russians to destroy them because the Ukrainians won't know how to use them. And obviously, they don't have it's not just intelligence, they don't have the blessings of God to run such machines in such a way to get a victory. So what we're really doing is disarming America, sending them over into the hands of people that are either going to just sell them, give them to our enemies, or destroy them. This is part of God destroying America. The article goes on to say, the United States is confirming that the first official group of M1A1 Abrams tanks, reportedly be the best tank in the world, have arrived in Ukraine to be used against Russia. The escalation of fighting between Russia and Ukraine continues. Okay, well, if you go and look at the videos I've looked at War News, I'll show you, Russia has already defeated Ukraine. Ukraine is a defeated nation, and the only thing that's keeping it going is the news, because they're dead. Okay, when you start recruiting children, the nation's dead. They've gone beyond that. They're recruiting children and they're recruiting women. They're even recruiting pregnant women in Ukraine, giving them guns to go out and be killed. Even the Russians are, I don't have time to show you all this, okay, but the Russians are running advertisements on Ukrainian TV telling the Ukrainians to surrender so they don't have to kill them. And apparently it's going to go to the last beating heart, be it man, woman, child, or pregnant woman. Let's go on with the article, though. At some point, we are now very close to it, Russia is going to declare the U.S. a combatant. I've talked about this. Okay, so if there's two people in a rock fight, and it's only two people gathering the rocks and throwing the rocks, then it's two people in a fight. But when you have another person gathering rocks and bringing them to one person, it's not two people in a fight. When you have a fourth person, one gathering the rocks, one teaching the other person how to throw the rocks, it's not two people in a rock fight. Well, what is going on in this case is Russia, apparently, and Russia alone, is fighting Ukraine and all of NATO and America because we're giving them rocks to throw. That means we're in the fight. So let me read it again. So at some point, we're now very close to it, that Russia is going to declare the U.S. a combatant in the fighting, and when that happens, it will be public notice that here in America, we are now subject to Russian military strikes. Now, we prophecy students know that's not the way it happens, okay? They're not going to come on the news and say, well, Russia has a legal right now to attack America. Russia is not going to stand up and say, look, we're ready to attack America. They're not going to give us any warning. Who would say, I'm about to hit you with my right fist right in your nose? Who would say that? No, you want as much element of surprise as possible. And we know that, like Virginia Boldea, which is Dmitry Duduman's daughter, said that she was shown a vision that it would be like a summer rain on a shiny day. In other words, surprise, total surprise. Americans will be caught completely blindsided. And if and when this takes place, and we know it's not if and it's not when, we know it's a when, they won't understand how or why they got attacked by Russia. Why? Because our mass media, owned by Moloch, has not done its job to inform the public just how far our government public servants have actually escalated the fighting. Now, let me read that part again. How far our government public servants have gone to cause the Russians to fight us. I have often thought, but I've never gone to the trouble, of sitting down and writing what is on Brett Baer and what is on Hannity, what is on Fox and Friends in the morning. It just go through a day and write down what are the topics they're talking about. Well, I can already tell you because it's the same thing every day. Are they talking about how Russia is defeating Ukraine? No. Are they really telling you the truth that Ukraine really, in this case, is the bad guy? Now, I agree Russia's bad too, but it's all a part of a plan. You see, Ukraine has footage, apparently, compromising footage, blackmailing footage of leaders around the world. And they say, you send us your money, you send us your military equipment, according to Vicky Parnell, which I believe is correct, or we're going to take you out of your position by revealing all of these sex tapes with you, this blackmail. And of course, the nations that are supporting Ukraine, that's exactly what's really going on. What we're really seeing is this disarming of America and NATO, and Russia is not showing her plan. Russia is not using her best weapons, and Russia is waiting, and Ukraine is cooperating with the point to where NATO and America are out of bullets. When one guy has thrown all of the rocks, and now the other guy says, okay, now we're not throwing rocks anymore. We're throwing grenades. What's a grenade? Well, we've been holding that back. So this is what we're talking about. So America is in the process of being disarmed. Why? Because we don't need Jesus anymore. I just had to go to the bank and had to sign some papers there and was talking with what I thought was a very nice person. Me and Leslie was sitting in the chair next to me, and the whole time I was listening to my heart. Is she a Christian? And what kept coming back was no. So I waited for my opportunity. Finally got the opportunity to talk to her about Jesus at the end. No, I'm a Muslim. I was raised in the Middle East. Now this is a lady, I don't know the way to say it, but she had white skin. She did not look Muslim. She did not look Middle Eastern, but she was Muslim, living in America. And people in America just think that they can just kick dust all over Jesus. And he's about to show them they can't. Okay, let's go on. So, how I ran across this, I asked Siri, I said, Siri, how much has the United States sent Ukraine in military equipment? And I found this through Siri. So then I looked it up on my computer and I pulled it in and I found some shocking information. Now, I'm going to tell you right up quick, us with short attention spans like myself, we wouldn't normally read this. It would be just too long and too boring. But at today, I'm going to have to ask you to stick with me. I've got an important point, and I'm going to show you some very important things to back up the fact that America is being disarmed. So this is U.S. Department of State. It's I think it's state.gov. Oh, wait, here it is right here. Yeah, right over here. You can go and read the same thing right there. State.gov. So this is official documents. Since January 2021, the United States has invested more than $46.7 billion. Now, wait a minute. We're about to cut off our entitlements. We're about to cut off our old people, about to cut off Medicare, Medicaid, and things like that. That's what entitlements are. And yet we can send $46.7 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. Well, do you think that's an accident? No, I think that's an on purpose. They are specifically sending our money, making us broke, so we can't take care of the burned victims in Maui. We can't take care of our old people because we're out of money. Literally, we'll be out of money, but there's a reason we're out of money, because it was all part of a plan to send our money and our arms overseas. There's more. Now, before I get into this is just one page. This comes from, good grief, I drew a blank. Shane Warren. I saw the incredible changes in the prices of currency. I saw silver, not gold, but I saw silver beginning to drastically increase in value, not gold, but silver, which, of course, I'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com if you want to get some of that. They can also give you advice. Anyway, let's skip on. I saw that with the riots begin to break out, major cities all across America broke out in riots, and people were rioting in the streets, and on their signs it said, "Give us our entitlements. We want our entitlements. We demand our entitlements." Things like this. That's what was on their sign. How close are we to that? Now let's go on to the next article. I don't endorse a whole lot of people, but I've come to love this site. It is not even an American site, but they seem to have news that we certainly can't get from the Fox News, the corrupt Fox News, which, by the way, FOX is short for 666. I've covered that before, so I'll move on. But the article says, unknown Russian weapon killed Ukrainian soldiers in this huge mushroom there. In the ashes, 3,000 tons of ammunition of Kyiv exploded. Okay, how'd they do that? The Russians are just destroying all of the Ukrainian soldiers, and they're down to having to send children and women, pregnant women, into battle. Now, let's back up, because this article here is continued here. I'm making a point. These are some of the weapons that we have sent Ukraine. And I don't even know if maybe they're off on the black market. Maybe they've been sold or given to Russia or Iran or Iraq or North Korea. Who knows where they are now. But the point is that I'm trying to make is they're not in our arsenal. 1 Patriot air defense battery and munitions. 12 national, I'll just say air missile systems. I don't understand all this. I wasn't in the military. Hawk air defense systems and munitions. AIM-7, RIM-7, and AIM-9 missiles for air defense. Again, I don't know what they are, but apparently they're very expensive, very sophisticated, and capable of taking out our enemies that might want to attack us, but we've given them to Ukraine. More than 2,000 Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. The Stinger was the thing that the Russians used to be most afraid of because it's shoulder carried and it can take out a tank. Like probably 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10. Avenger air defense systems. Vampire counter unmanned aerial systems and munitions. That means all the bullets for it. CUAS gun trucks and ammunition. Mobile CUAS laser-guided rocket systems. What are we doing? These Ukrainians are not sophisticated. They don't know how to run these. Anti-aircraft guns and ammunition. Equipment to integrate Western launchers, missiles, and radars with Ukraine systems. Equipment to support and sustain Ukraine's existing air defense capabilities, and 21 air surveillance radars. I'm going to show you at the end of the program actual footage. here's what you're going to see. You're going to see that Russia is destroying the famous Leopard 2 tank. It's destroyed our Humvees. You're going to see that Russia quickly and easily is overcoming everything Ukraine, and more specifically NATO and America, is throwing at it. It's destroying everything. These are the fires. I think that means the firing equipment. 38. High mobility artillery rocket systems and ammunition. Wouldn't you like to have those when the Mexicans and the North Koreans invade us? Ground-launched small diameter bomb launchers and guided rockets. Now, do you think that those are being rebuilt and replaced? Now, if they are, send me the article, because I haven't heard that these munitions have been replaced or are even in the process of being replaced. My guess is they're saying we don't have the money to replace them. No, because they're disarming America. 198 155 millimeter howitzers. That's a lot. And more than 2 million 155 millimeter artillery rounds. In other words, all of the bullets to kill our enemies have been given away to Ukraine, the bad guys. More than 7,000 precision-guided 155 millimeter artillery rounds. More than 20,000 rounds of remote anti-armor mine ram system we've given. This is according to an official government website, okay? State.gov. We've given these to our enemies. Let's go through the laborious part of reading through it. 10,000 203 millimeter artillery rounds. More than 200,000 152 millimeter artillery rounds. See, I'm not familiar with this, so it's hard for me to read. 40,000 130 millimeter artillery rounds. 40,000 122 artillery rounds. 60,000 122 millimeter grad rockets. I don't know what they are, but 60,000 of them. 122 181 millimeter mortar systems. 10 of the 82 millimeter mortar systems. 58 60 millimeter mortar systems. More than 40,000 mortar rounds. 400,000. What did they do with 400,000 mortar rounds? I don't think they shot them all off. Matter of fact, if the truth was known, I don't even think all of this made it to Ukraine. I bet you a lot of it was sold off on the black market. Probably a lot of it was just given directly to Russia, or to Iran, or to North Korea, or Cuba. Remember the nations attacking America? Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico. We've given our defense to our enemies. And now we're letting our enemies come in through our southern border. They're giving them cell phones. And my guess is they'll say, we're going to give you a driver's license. We're going to give you a job. We're going to give you everything you need. We're going to put you up. But when the cell phone rings, the deal is you have to call, or you have to answer it, and you have to show up, and we're going to train you how to do what we want you to do. That would be to attack and destroy America. Here's another article from War News. I probably should have given you the URL on this because it's hard to find. Anyway, matter of fact, it's in Russian, but it translates it into English. Ukraine. Russia hit Ukrainian port infrastructure and grain storage facilities. Russia has just almost totally destroyed Ukraine, but there's no talk of any surrender. Why? Because they want NATO and America to continue to send their arms, and then when NATO and America is totally disarmed, then Russia's going to attack. Let's go back to the list. These are things we've sent Ukraine. 31 Abrams tanks. This is the famous Abrams tanks that destroyed Saddam Hussein, remember? 45 T-72 battle tanks. 186 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. I'm going to show you at the end of this footage of the Russians destroying them. They take them out left and right. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, man. It's literally like shooting those ducks. Remember at the carnival, ducks going back and forth? That's what it's like. 4 Bradley fire support team vehicles. 189 Striker. This is what we've been fighting and defeating Iraq with. Now we sent them over North Korea. Who knows where they're going? 300 M113 armored personnel carriers. 250 M1117 armored security vehicles. If you were to go on this website and go back, spend an evening there looking at all these videos like I have, you would see most all of these have been destroyed. And it's easy for the Russians to take them out. 250 M1117 armored security vehicles, more than 500 mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles. Is there anything left for America to defend itself when the Russians come in? The answer is probably no. More than 2,000 high-mobility, multi-purpose wheeled vehicles. More than 100 light tactical vehicles. What? Does this bother you? Because it bothers me. 300 armored medical treatment vehicles, 68 trucks, 124 trailers. This is on top of $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world left in Iraq. We even left our dogs there. More than 600 tactical vehicles to tow and haul equipment. 131 tactical vehicles to recover equipment. This is from a government website. I know you're sitting here saying, what? 10 command post vehicles, 30 ammunition support vehicles, 18 armored bridging systems, 8 logistical support vehicles, 239 fuel tankers, 105 fuel trailers. See, when the Russians attack, somebody's going to turn around and say, where's all of our equipment? And somebody else can say, Ukraine? It's in Ukraine. Well, these people need some fuel. We don't have anything to take them fuel. We don't have any fuel. Because also, here's another thing, our fine president has lowered our strategic crude oil reserves, remember? Well, because we didn't want to pay too much for the gasoline. So we gave away our emergency crude oil. America is disarmed. America's going to go into captivity. We're going to see the inside of those barbed wire prison camps. Aircraft. Now, let's cover the aircraft. This is the aircraft and unmanned aerial systems we've sent to them. Look at that. 20 Mi-17 helicopters. We gave Ukraine 20 of our helicopters. It gets worse. Switchblade unmanned aerial systems, Phoenix Ghost, Cyberlux, I don't even know what they are, Altus 600, Jump, Hornet, Puma, Scan Eagle, Penguin, 2 radars, high-speed anti-radiation missiles, precision aerial mission. What do we have left? Well, if the truth be known, probably the answer is nothing. Now, you folks up north say nothing, but down Texas we say nothing. They ain't got nothing. Nothing left. So this is a picture, and it says the Russians destroyed Leopard 2. Now, I don't know if these are the German Leopard 2 tanks. I think so. They look like the pictures I looked up. But it just shows you this fantastic tank, the Leopard 2, is getting destroyed left and right by the Russians. Now, we've sent over M1A1 Abrams tanks. Guess what's going to happen? There, all 31 of them. Here, let me make a prediction. All 31 of them, if they're really sending them to Ukraine and not giving them to the Russians or giving them to Cuba or Nicaragua or something like that. But if all 31 of them go to Ukraine, my prediction is they won't last 90 days. All of them will be destroyed. Look at, you put a kid in a tank like that doesn't know what he's doing, and that makes it easy. And then if you don't have aerial support, that makes it easy to destroy them. And both of those are true. The Russians destroyed Leopard 2, crewed by German armed forces in Ukraine, what the German soldier said. Now, what does that mean? It means that not only has German sent their military equipment, but they've actually spilled German blood in Ukraine fighting against the Russians. So what does that do? That puts Germany in the sights of Russia, except Germany is actually on the side of the Russians. Probably it's all part of disarming the Germans too, and NATO. Let's go on. So we're back to the list of arms we've sent them. Anti-armor and small arms. More than 10,000 Javelin anti-armor systems. 80,000 anti-armor systems and munitions. 80,000 of them? 80,000? Really? Have they? That's probably our total inventory. I don't know. My guess is. More than 7,000 tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided tow missiles. 7,000? You mean they have shot 7,000 tow missiles? Do you know what a tow missile is? It fires from the shoulder, it goes up, and the wire is still connected to it. It goes up high, looks for the tank, and boom. It does not miss. You just have a little joystick, and just like playing one of these games, you just guide it right down and it hits the tank. So have they shot up 7,000 tow missiles? The answer is probably not. And if they had, I mean, if you watch some of these videos I'm going to show you at the end, you'll see holes every place. Maybe they did shoot 7,000, but they didn't take out 7,000 Russian tanks. I wish I knew the truth, but I'm pretty convinced that we don't have the truth. Let's go on. About done with this. I'm not done, but I'm just about done, you know. After 35,000 grenade launchers, small arms, more than 300 million rounds of small arms ammunition and grenades, laser-guided rocket systems, munitions, rocket launchers, munitions, anti-tank mines, Colossal mushroom in Dnieper, the Russians blew up an armored train, and guess what? More of those Leopard 2 German tanks. Maritime, 2 Harpoon coastal defense systems, anti-ship missiles, 62 coastal and riverine patrol boats, unmanned coastal defense systems. How many? Look at all these. Other capability, M18A1 Claymore anti-personnel munitions, C4 explosions. Wow, really? And the answer is, yeah, really. They've sent them over them. So let me go on to the videos. Watch these videos, and there's not any audio to them. At least I'm asking her to turn off the audio because it's some crazy music. But watch what is happening. Here are the videos of the Russians and their capabilities using their lower capable destructive means. The videos. I thought this was real interesting. These two calves, were born, one the day before and one on September 25th of 2014, which just happens to be a Shemitah. A Shemitah means 7, like 2 means, or a couple means 2, or a dozen means 12. In Hebrew, Shemitah means 7. And so I believe the prophecy is saying that it started 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. 7 years of plenty because the black and white cow has a perfect 7 on his forehead. The red cow has a scribbled 7 on his forehead. What are the chances both those cows are born within 24 hours and released to the public on the same day? I think it's of God saying 7 years of plenty started in 2014, and 7 years of famine started in 2021 and concludes to 2028. That's still in the ballpark. A lot of people think it's the tribulation. Now, that would mean that we are at this point in a famine. So what do? You do what Joseph did. The world lived off of bread. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread. The people cried to Pharaoh for bread. That's wheat. So the world lived off of wheat for 7 years, and I'm going to recommend you do the same thing. We have had 150 food sources destroyed the last 18 months. No arrests, we've had train derailments, China stopped container ships, threatening to stop all of them, Russia attacked Ukraine, breadbasket. I mean, our food is under attack. Klaus Schwab says you will own nothing but be happy. They're in the process of taking everything we own. This is a loaf of bread I actually cooked. I actually cooked this. And as a matter of fact, I've already had a slice of bread this morning. And I've noticed that as long as I have at least one slice a day, I feel okay. It's best if I have 2 slices, like one for breakfast, one for lunch. Even if I'm not hungry, it's not that I'm eating it for food or because I'm hungry. It's because my body demands it. So josephkitchen.com, they can point you to get the right wheat, all the wherewithal you need to make bread. 1 loaf cut into 14 slices. If you eat 2 slices a day, I find that about 1 loaf feeds 1 person per week. 1 slice breakfast, 1 slice dinner, better nutrition, long storage life, some 3,000 years, 10 minutes to make bread machine. The weakness is the electricity, but if you go to josephkitchen.com, they can show you how to solve all of those problems. So what is an EMP Shield device? It's a device you can put on your car and your house that in an EMP attack is supposed to stop the attack. And if you go to empshield.com and if you use the promo code prophecy, they give you a $50 discount. They also have videos up there, shows you how to install it on your car and your house and everything, and it's not difficult at all. I've got one of them right here. Red goes to red, black goes to black, green goes to the car, body of your car, and you just peel it off the back, stick it under there. Got another device that goes on your house. So not complicated. Take you about 10 minutes to put them in. So empshield.com, promo code is prophecy. Rule number 1, make sure your name is written in the book of life. Rule number 1, ask Jesus to forgive your sins. That's the most important thing. Number 2, most important thing, whatever happens, do not take that mark of the beast. You take that mark of the beast, you can cut your hand off, you can chisel off your forehead, but you're going to spend all eternity with the beast, the false prophet, and 1,000 years later, Lucifer joins them, and all the other people that take the mark of the beast, and there is no hope of escape. You're tormented. That means you're in total pain. It means that your body, although it's not a body of flesh, whatever it is, your body is totally being burned for all eternity, and there is no stopping it. There is no escaping it. Whatever happens, you do not want to take that mark of the beast, which, by the way, I would recommend you go to prophecyclub.com and get my book, Miss the Mark. As a matter of fact, it's sold so much, we are, I think, now going into the 5th printing. This book is simple. It only takes about 3 hours to read. It's designed to give to someone that's not a Christian, doesn't know Jesus, that hadn't read the Bible. Give it to anybody out there. If they'll read the first few pages, they'll probably finish the book. If they finish the book, I don't care what God they used to have, they're not going to take that mark of the beast. And chances are very strong they'll receive Jesus. So for that, I would send you to prophecyclub.com. 1 for $20, and you'll have to check and get whatever the other prices are. I will say this, they just went up substantially on our printing price. And so guess what? No surprise, we had to go up on our prices too. But nevertheless, not about money. It's about winning souls.